Today I'm going to show you how to use the Popplet Lite app for your iPad. This app is basically the free version of the Popplet app, and it allows you to organize your thoughts into a mind map or a thinking map to use for a project or presentation. The big difference between these two apps is that with the Popplet Lite app, you do not have the ability to save your Popplets. You do have the ability to email them and share them, or to save a JPEG to your camera roll, but you don't have the ability to open them after you've created a new Popplet. So let's get started. The second P on my screen with the word light inside, we're going to tap to open that. The first thing you'll notice is that my Popplet needs to be named. So I'm going to tap and just erase the word my Popplet, and I'm going to call this Popplet Canyons. Okay. Now you can take a look. If you don't like the color of the background that's on your screen, you can tap the colored square at the top and try out all the different colors until you find one that you really love. I'm going to go with green this time. When you're finished, just tap off the screen and that will go back into hiding. Now we need a Popplet, so I'm going to double tap on my screen to get my first Popplet to come up. Okay, the first thing that I want to look at with you is the circle with the T inside. And when I open this T, you'll see my keyboard pops up from the bottom of the screen. This basically is just a type feature that allows me to type text into my Popplet box. So I'm going to call this Trip to the Canyons. Okay, when I'm finished, I'm going to close my keyboard. And you'll notice in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, we still have a gray box with 3 T's and 3 sets of lines. Our T's basically just change our text size, and then our lines basically just change the alignment of the text in the box. So I'm finished with this one. I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to press and hold, and drag that Popplet to a new location on my screen. And when I'm finished, I'm going to tap off the box. Okay, let's keep adding Popplets. I'm going to double tap. And the next thing I want to look at is the pen feature. And I found that with the pen feature, it's easier for me to write and draw if I make my Popplet larger. So I've made my Popplet larger just by grabbing the black arrows in the corners and pulling. Now I'm going to tap the pen, and you'll notice that I have some ink colors that appear. I'm going to choose blue to get started, and I'm going to call this Popplet Grand Canyon. Okay, when I'm finished, I'm going to tap off. Now, I tap off before I reduce it only because I seem to make mistakes with writing in that box. When I don't do that, it doesn't set it, so I just tap off for mine, one of the things I do. I'm going to make it a little smaller. I'm going to go ahead and add another Popplet. I'm going to make it larger by dragging those black arrows. Get my pen. I'm going to make this one pink. I'm going to call this Bryce Canyon. I'm going to tap off, then tap back on and make it smaller. I'm going to move it again by holding with my finger and dragging. And I'm going to try to get them about the same size, but they may not be perfect. Now you see I can't see my first Popplet at this point, so all I have to do is put my finger on the screen and drag across to get it back on where I can see it. Okay, I'm going to double tap one more time, make it larger, get my pen, and this time I'll use green, and I'm going to call this Zion Canyon. Now one thing that you may be wondering is, what if I am drawing and I make a big mistake, just like that on my screen? Very easy to clear the screen. All you do is tap the pen again and say clear drawing. Then we'll tap the pen, get our ink again, and we're good to go. So pretty easy if you make a mistake to clear it out of the box. You could also just delete by clicking the X the entire Popplet and start over, but tap off. I'm going to reduce again, move my screen around. It's real easy just to maneuver and work with these boxes. Okay, so let's start making some connections. The first thing I want to do is I want to connect the Grand Canyon to my first Popplet Trip to the Canyons. To do that, when I tap on the Grand Canyon, you see the 4 gray dots that appear. I'm going to hold on the gray dot on the left and drag it down to Trip to the Canyons. When I release, a line appears. I'm going to do the same thing with Bryce Canyons, and I'm going to do the same thing with Zion Canyon. Then I'm going to tap off, and you can see I've made my first set of connections. The next thing I want to show you is one of my favorite things about the Popplet app, and it is the circle on the far left side. And basically this circle is just a picture of a frame, is basically what that image represents in there. And I'm going to color coordinate my frames to match the text that I have in the box. So I'm going to put a blue frame around Grand Canyon. I'm going to put a pink frame around Bryce Canyon. And I'm going to put a green frame around Zion Canyon. And what this does is it allows you to use colors to categorize your thinking map as you go through the process. Now, what's really neat is once you have this colored Popplet set up, to make a new one, all you have to do is take that gray dot off to the side and drop it into the empty space. And another one that matches exactly appears and is ready for use. So I'm going to make a new one for each color that I've created. And then I'm going to try to line them up as best I can. And the last thing that I want to show you as far as creating a Popplet is the last circle on the right, which is an image. It's kind of an image of some mountains. And what we can do is we can tap on that circle, and it gives us 3 options. We can open our library from our iPad, we can take a photo with our iPad, or we can paste an image that we've found on the internet. I'm going to say open my library, and I'm going to go down to my canyon pictures, and I'm going to put in for this one, because it's connected to the Grand Canyon, a picture of the Grand Canyon. For Bryce Canyon, I'm going to click open my library, go to my canyon pics, and I'm going to find a picture of the Bryce Canyon. And then for Zion, I'm going to click on my images, go to my canyon pics, and put in a picture of the Zion Canyon. And now I've finished creating the graphic organizer I wanted to make on Popplet. And the last thing that I want to show you is how you can share these. So the export button at the top allows you to email a PDF. You could just email it to an educator or to a student if you were sharing something. You can email just a picture of the Popplet with a JPEG, or you could save a copy of the as a JPEG into your camera roll so that you can later put it into a presentation or email it to someone that way. So that is basically how you use Popplet Lite to organize your thinking.